Welcome, everyone. This is our POV.
Our point of view. I am your host, Christina.
And I'm your host, Alex.
Today's topic is
red flags.
Not blue, not purple, but red.
And today we're talking about red flags. That's a pretty familiar topic to most of us. I feel like somewhere along the line of our lives, we've come in contact where something that's just not quite adding up. And what brought us to this topic was the viral TikTok story of Risa Tisa. And for those of you who have seen the story, know that who the F did I marry? Can I say that? Who the F did I marry?
Yes.
Okay. So who the TF did I marry? Let's PG-13 that for a little bit. So it's based in Atlanta. This woman is based in Atlanta. Her name is Tisa Risa. I hope I'm not mispronouncing that wrong. But she met this guy on Facebook, online dating. She said that at first they hit it off really good. He was very attentive. She got a flat tire. He helped her fix it. Also, he was just taking care of business. She said that she had never felt that way, that somebody that was so attentive, taking care of things. So during the course of about 5 months, which is what her marriage lasted, little by little, she started noticing red flags, right? But when she started noticing the true red flags, by then she was in real deep. How deep, you might ask, Christina?
Yes.
So deep enough where she was already living with him. She had already married him. They were planning on like buying a house, buying cars.
This is deep.
Very, very deep. And she started noticing that he was just lying a lot. And when they were, signing paperwork to buy a house, by the way, she's also a licensed real estate agent.
Yes, guys, hit me up if you guys want to purchase a home or sell. Thank you for the free marketing. I appreciate it.
We're women of many traits, let me tell you. But she noticed that the loans weren't going through. He just kept prolonging it. And point being is that he started off treating her really well, that she missed a lot of red flags. And for those of you who know the story, and maybe some of you know it better than we do, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear, what do you think happened? How can she miss so many red flags? You can always email us, call us. The numbers are on the screen. But how can someone, and I was watching her videos and I was wondering, how can someone miss that many red flags? Red flags to the point that the home loans weren't going through, the auto loans weren't going through. He lied about his family. He lied about being married before. He lied about his children. He lied about where he used to work, what sports he used to play. Everything was a lie.
And from my understanding, when I was reading a little bit about the story, it was also mentioned that he didn't even present her to the siblings, right?
Yeah.
Like he lied about how many siblings he had. So I'm super, I don't know, when it comes to family, and if I don't meet the family, that's like a big red flag to me. It's like, why? What's happening, unless there's a good reason, but that to me is a red flag, right?
Oh yeah, definitely, especially go ahead.
Especially if they're getting married, like, or if they got married. Did they get married?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They ended up getting married. So how many times, do some of us miss red flags, and because of the attention they're giving us, sometimes we give them the benefit of the doubt and like, well, maybe they didn't mean it, or maybe it's me, maybe I'm not, it wasn't what I thought. And I feel like a lot of the times no one's perfect. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes when we walk into a relationship, even if it's friendships, sometimes how many of us miss red flags in friendships? Not everyone's rooting for you. Not everyone who's on your team wants the best for you. Yet sometimes we miss them, or we notice the red flags, but why do we put up with them?
I'm all about a support team. I'm all about women supporting women, women supporting men, men and women. Like, I just think support is so important. If your friends don't support you, if your spouse does not support you, of course, if it's something positive and motivating, that to me is a big issue. I've noticed that the more you hang around, the more I've hung around with people that support me, even if it's sometimes like little things that I have in mind. Opinion is one thing, advice is another, but support, we might not have the same visions. I understand that, but if that person doesn't support you and it's just negative, like, no, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that because this and this, and always putting things in the way for you not to accomplish or not to, to me, that's like, it's just a red flag. I try to stay away from those people. I try to, just have no type of communication with them. And I've done that many times where I said, this is it. Like, maybe not to their face, but I will in my head say, you're not my friend. But, and I think that's important that we do that for ourselves, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I feel like sometimes, like, at least for me, I always try to see the good in people. Even when I know, let's say, for example, something might be a little off, I try to see the good in people. I try to say, well, maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they've had bad experiences. But what red flags do you put up with? What don't you put up with? It's easy to say, well, I don't put up with any red flags. As soon as I see something, I cut them off. But then it's a very lonely walk because no one's perfect. We all have issues. We all make mistakes. But what do you put up with and what can you not put up with? We want to hear you. We want to hear your opinion. This is our point of view. And we want to hear from you. But what's one of the things that, let's say, for example, you would put up with?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because I could say it right now. Like, I wouldn't put up with this. I wouldn't put up with that. But then you start liking a person or you start like vibing with a person, right? If you guys are friends or whatever. And then you're like, okay, fine. I'll ignore that part or I won't do, but I don't know. It's kind of hard. I know for me, it's like trust. Even in a friendship, trust is a big thing.
Yeah, it is.
And if there's no trust there, I feel like if I can't come to you as a friend, I know that, first of all, I know that we shouldn't come to all of our friends and be like an open book. Yeah, I get that.
Not everyone.
But those friends that you consider a friend, right? Like friend. And if you feel like you cannot come to them and you have to be very careful, like walking on eggshells, to me, that's like, no, I wouldn't put up with it. I can't. I feel like if I have to walk on eggshells for you, I'm like, it's hard. It almost feels suffocating for me because I'm such a person that like, I'm not so open with everyone. I'm always happy and like going and this and that. And for the people that know me, that I can come to you and be like, hey, this and this and this and that. You have to be judgment free. Like you have to allow me to express myself fully. Yes, you can be like, hey, that's kind of harsh or like, but at least allow me to like vent to you in that sense. And I think everyone needs that. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and I agree. And so back to that story that we were talking about, even during those short 5 months that she lived, you kind of think, when you're on the outside looking in, you're like, well, how come she didn't notice? How come she allowed this man to lie to her about everything for so long? But, sometimes we hold on to the hopefulness of the beginning. Because in the beginning, some of us have held on to things, friendships, relationships, for many years because of the beginning. Well, it used to be like this. Or in the beginning, it was really good. It's because you don't understand. You should have saw the way they treated me in the beginning. And I say they because some women, some men are having issues with women where it's like, I can't let her go because in the beginning she was so good to me. And some women with men where it's like, I put up with it because you don't really know him. In the beginning, it was really good. And we hold on to this false hope. And I feel like a lot of the times, sometimes a relationship or friendship, it's not even worth fighting for anymore. But we hold on to that hopefulness of what they gave me in the beginning. And I'm really curious to see everything after. For those of you that have followed the story, know that, you know, she's been invited to talk shows. They're thinking about starting like this series based on her life. So she's had a really good outcome, and she never mentions his name. She only calls him like Mr. Legion. But I'm very curious to hear his point of view, even though it might be all lies, you know, red flags, purple flags, all kinds of flags with this man. But, you know, even just curious to hear his point of view. It's like, what are you thinking? Like, do you really think you're going to get away with it?
Well, maybe it's like how they say that there's some people that just, they just lie. What is it called? It's
the compulsive liars.
There you go. It could be just that. I think, is that a like a sickness?
I mean,
or what is it?
It should be a sickness, something over the counter that you can get. I mean, it's pretty frightening where people just feel like they have to lie.
It's embarrassing,
dude. When you get caught,
like, do they? What happens afterwards? Like, can they just keep
lie
living?
Just lie some more.
I'm gonna change my identity today, you know.
Well, hey, that man, he had 2 Facebook dating pages, and both of them, she mentions that both of them were completely different, like different names, different pictures, different cities he lived in. They were just different.
Talking about dating websites, I do not trust them whatsoever. I do not understand it. I don't know how people, I've heard a lot of my friends say like they've gone on dates and they like, how, why? It's so scary.
Well, I've met people that have met their spouses on online dating websites, and they're happily married and they're going great. And
I mean, how many years have they been married for?
For a few years, maybe like less than 8 or so. But I mean, to find
that's
them
still
online, I mean, I don't know. But I started watching this show of Steve Harvey. Everyone knows Steve Harvey. I mean, he's really popular. He has game shows and talk show radio and just so much going for him, right? He's very successful. And he says on his video where he gives like relationship advice, and he says, don't let a man tell you twice that he doesn't want you.
Ooh.
And I really like that. That really stuck to me, because how many times do we allow people to tell us they don't want us? And even for you gentlemen, don't let a woman tell you twice she doesn't want you. How many times do we allow people to tell us, I don't want you? Whether it's, you know, because they lie to us consistently, even unfaithfulness. Maybe they've been unfaithful and they decide to come back, or they decide to water it down where it's like, well, I'm sorry, or it was really nothing. How many times do they have to tell us they don't want us? You know, where do we draw the line? Where do we cut it? Where do we say, hey, this is enough? Hasta aquí llegaste. You know, for those that speak Spanish, up to here. That's it. No more, you know?
I think that for me, I know that when I was younger, I would deal with a lot more.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if it's because I wasn't wise or what, but now I'm like, I feel like I know what I want, and if I see something, it's just like, that's it. Or even if I feel like someone's not giving me the time or putting in that effort, you know, it doesn't take a lot to be like, good morning, or, you know, I understand that not everyone's romantic, but good morning and things like that. To me, it's little things. And if they can't do that, to me, that's already like, you know, ladies, we know what we like and we know what we don't like. So if they're not giving us what we like in the beginning, they're not going to give us what we like or what we want or what we're looking for throughout the relationship. Same thing with guys. If the woman's not giving you what you want, then she's not going to do it. You know, like And then, you know, there's some men that are like, oh, I want someone who cooks and I want someone that she's not cooking. She's not cooking. Like, I don't get that. Like, I've heard people say, well, you know, he wasn't like this, but I fixed him. Oh, the I fixed. Like, you didn't fix anyone. You just started becoming okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where problems come. And, you know, it's just kind of like, you can't, you know, I just think you have to draw the line and say, like, I love myself too much to allow you to come in and make me want something less. Mm-hmm. We have to love ourselves more and respect ourselves in that sense, that we know what we want. And it's not like it's ever too late to find that person. Mm-hmm. I hear that so much, especially from women. You know, it's like, oh, but I'm getting older, but no. So you're going to suffer? Like, I don't get it. I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I just, I'd rather be old and find my person when I'm older than to be young and suffering with a person that I knew that wasn't for me because I didn't like some stuff that person did, but I still stayed with them because I was getting too old.
And this is the importance, I feel like, the beauty of singleness, correct? The beauty of singleness is if you're single, you have an opportunity to seek for what you want. Let's say, for example, you're young or maybe you're getting older, like my sister, by the way, was saying. And yeah, I feel like sometimes people get in a point where it's like, okay, I'm getting older. Like, I have to hurry up. Like, I'm supposed to by now already, you know, have children, married, have children. Like, I'm not checking off that list. But when you're single, the beauty of being single is in the Bible, it states that, you know, do not be unequally yoked. And there's an importance to that, you know, because you have to think long run. Would I be happy if my children turned out like this person? Let's say, for example, you're with someone and your children might get more traits. Me and my husband have been married for 20 years. And sometimes that single mentality, of course, it's not going to run with me and him, where it's like, okay, I'm not going to put up with it. Bye. You know, because we've been married, we try to make it work. Yeah, we're not perfect. Yeah, we make mistakes. We get on each other's nerves. We love each other, the whole shebang, right? Because it's marriage, it's work. And when you're single, you have an opportunity to really think about that, because I really love that verse where it says, do not be unequally yoked. Where if you know that there are some things that you cannot deal with and they're showing you who they are, believe them. That is who they are. Sometimes we try to give them the benefit of the doubt because we care for them, we love them, or we've been friends with them for so long, and it would be so sad to lose a friendship of 10, 20, 30 years, but they don't have your best interest at heart. How much are you willing to put up with? How many red flags, how many crosses of the line where this person keeps crossing the line in your life are you willing to put up with? There's also this verse in the Bible where it's Proverbs 10:9, and it says, whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. Ooh. Walk in integrity. Even if, let's say, for example, you don't believe in the Bible, or maybe you don't even believe in God. I believe in God. And you don't believe in God. Even that is a good example of a way to live your life. When you walk in integrity, you don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe them money. You don't even owe them an explanation, because there's nothing that they can throw against you.
Yep.
Because you're making righteous choices, because you're living a life. Even if, for example, there's people that they don't want to be in relationships. They want to be in open relationships. I don't agree with it. It's my point of view. But if you're honest from the beginning and you say, hey, I'm not interested in having a serious relationship, versus having them linger around, having them, hoping that you're Prince Charming or Princess Charming, and you've just been lying to them. Now, guess what? Now you're known as a liar. Now you're just exactly like Mr. L. Let's call him Mr. L because she called him Legion. Now you're just like that. You're just considered a liar. Why?
And then talking about that, how can you keep up with those lies?
Exactly.
I know people that I'm like,
bad memory.
I've caught people in lies, and I just don't ever like bring it out. But I'm like, you forgot that you lied to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, if I don't tell you about it, it's because I honestly don't really care to make that awkward, because it's gonna be awkward after that. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna trust this person again, obviously. But yeah, I'm like, you didn't say that to me. You said something completely different. And now how am I supposed to like continue like this? It's so weird. But I always wondered that, like, how can you guys keep up with so many lies? I mean, I don't know, for he or she, right? Because so funny story talking about lying. At my job, I'm not gonna say where, but so a husband or a man called asking about his wife's records, and because he said he gave her so much money, like a big amount of money. I think it was like more than 10,000 or something, to pay for whatever she was claiming. Right? I'm not gonna give details because, and then so then he called, and we had to obviously make sure that we can give him that information, right? So then finds out that she didn't ever showed up. Like, she never was part of it. She didn't even go to that, what he thought he was paying for. So then when we were obviously able to give him answer, because she wasn't there, her record wasn't there. She was like, oh no, there's no record of this person here. And then it's funny because even after that, he says, let me give you a couple of names. I remember when I heard that, I was like, couple of names?
So he had suspicions probably already.
Yeah, she was like using different names, lying about it. Well, anyways, turns out that I guess she was lying about this too. I'm not sure how many other things he was lying about, but he already knew she was a liar. And she took off with his money, and it was a good amount of money. And it sucks because the man, although he was going through this, he was very kind person. We told him no, and he was like, okay, thank you so much, mija, I appreciate it. Like, I think I would have been like, what do you mean no? But he was so like, okay, mija, gracias. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, no. I felt like, honestly, at that moment, I was like, I'm praying for you at this moment that you find, your right person, because, I mean, I don't know their situation, but obviously that's sad, It's a really hard situation, that they are going through. But I felt for him, and I was like, man, that sucks to have to be following someone and like catching up and keeping up with their lies. It must be something heavy.
Especially because I think the heaviness of it is it's the break of trust. You trust someone, whether even if it's with your ideas, if it's with your goals, your dreams, your aspirations of, when I grow up, I want to do this in life. And you trust these people and you let them into your lives. And then it's so easy for them to sell out. Either like her, she sold them out for 10 grand. And some of us, it's so easy to sell out, for another person, or regardless if you're hurting your spouse, regardless if you're hurting your children, regardless of who you're hurting, some of us make choices where we sell out, and that's why, going back to what we just read, and it fits perfectly with what you were saying, Proverbs 10:9, where it says, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. You can only hide it for so long. You can only keep up with it for so long. eventually everything comes to light.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a true believer of that. I'm a true believer where if you don't go in with integrity and doing things the right way, it's going to come to light. And the only thing that's going to get you, it's going to make you look foolish. You're going to look foolish because how can you defend it when you're wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But there's people that try to defend it even though they know they're wrong, and they still try to defend it, and it only makes you look like a fool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it only makes you look dumb. Let's face it, dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not worth it. Sometimes it's not even worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes there's times where you get so used to lying where you didn't even have to lie about that. And you lied about it because you start losing your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you cut it off?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you say, hey, I'm losing my integrity of a person, of the authority that God has given us? I'm losing that value. I'm watering myself down.
Yep. And then after
Yeah.
you do find that, how do you deal with shame? Because
Wow.
that's one part, right? You're lying. You find out, okay, that's it. Like let's say you're like, I'm done, and I am. I can say that I have been a part of that where I've done something and I keep doing it and I keep getting caught and caught and caught and caught, and then there's a point that I told myself, that's it. Fine, like, okay, I get it. And even when I did say like, okay, I'm done, I remember telling God, like, all right, God, I was even so mad. I was like, I get it. Like, I get it. You know, there's something that has to change, and I'm done. Like, do what you want with me. Like, teach me, show me. But then you deal with the shame. There's a part where you feel shame. Like, that part comes with it. Because a lot of people, when it comes with anything that you want to give up, there's shame to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like how do people, you know, get over that shame, or how do they deal with it? And I think a lot of times, because sometimes they feel like so ashamed of something, that it's hard for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for them. So they rather just keep living the way that they are living instead of living anew, you know, because they have to go through it. They have to face it. You're going to have to face it. So, you know, it's a lot when you choose to do the right thing, when you choose the right path. It comes with a lot, you know, and it's not always pretty, you know, it's not always beautiful. It's not always like, congratulations, balloons, you know, you changed.
Right, yeah,
it's gonna be hard. That change is gonna be hard. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be sometimes painful, sometimes a sacrifice. It's gonna come with a lot, but your future, it's gonna be so much brighter. You're gonna be able to breathe, because I believe a lot of those people that go through that deal with so much of that, they're like always tight. That's why if you tell them something, they snap, or they're defensive, or like, what do you mean? Or what are you trying to say? You know, when someone acts like that with me, I'm like, there's something there. You know.
And I think because I like everything, I mean, I've been through, and I've made decisions, and sometimes they're not righteous and they're not with integrity. And I think the beauty of life, and the beauty of life with God, is that there's always today. Because it's easy to say, well, there's always tomorrow. But when we decide to make a change in the goodness of God, there's change today. Today, you don't have to be like that. Today, you can let go of those burdens. Today, you can start over. And some of us, that's all we need. Some of us, you've been looked upon all your life as a screw up, as a mess up. Here we go again. But the beauty is that you can start over. You do have an opportunity to start fresh. And it can be today. It can be today where you make a decision like, okay, from this day forward, I'm going to walk in integrity.
Mm-hmm.
From this day forward, whatever lies I have said, if I have an opportunity to make amends, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes courage. It takes courage to say, I was wrong. It takes courage to say, I'm sorry. There's been times where, like I've mentioned before, I've been married for 20 years. And sometimes I realize that I made a mistake. And this is someone that I have children with. This is someone that I live with. We share finances. We share secrets. This is someone that I've known since I was young. And sometimes it's so hard for me to say, I'm sorry. I messed up. Let me make amends with you. And this is someone that I share a life with. But the beauty is that we have an opportunity to start over.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to keep walking in crooked paths.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings so much peace when you don't owe anyone anything, not even an apology. When you don't owe, that's why even people say, you owe me an apology, because you get in debt with them. When you hurt someone, you're indebted to them. That's why, listen to the keyword, you owe me an apology. Because when you hurt someone, you owe them something. You owe them. That's why some of us can't let go of certain people. And I heard this lady, and I forgot to get her name, and I should have, but the words were so wise when, why would you want the person who hurt you? Why do you need that type of closure for them to tell you why they hurt you? Is not the fact that they hurted you enough that you still want them to explain to you why they hurt you? And that was like, whoa, when I heard her say that, I was like, whoa, that's true. That's why some of us can't move on, because it's like, tell me, why did you do this? Why did you hurt me this way? But how can we expect the person who hurt us explain to us why they hurt us? They hurt you because maybe you were not a priority.
Mm-hmm.
Or they hurt you because maybe they themselves are hurt and they don't know how to have integrity in their relationship, integrity in their friendship. They don't know how. But it's up to you to make a choice. It's up to you to say, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
For this young lady that we spoke about earlier, it took her 5 months. It took her 5 months to realize, like, hey, everything he says is a lie. Everything that he tries to do that seems like a good idea, buy a house and buy a car and let's move forward. And it's things that I feel as women, we grow up, a lot of the times it's embedded in us, in our DNA, where we're little, or you see a little girl or a little baby, a toddler walking around with her little baby. And you see these preteens, when I get married or when I have kids, I want to name them this. And they've never had a boyfriend. Or because it's embedded in us to want that motherly instinct, to want to move forward. And sometimes we allow that to hold us back in situations because we were so hopeful in the beginning. So we hold on to that hope of, maybe he really is who I saw in the beginning. And we ignore what they're showing us in the now. And this is our point of view on red flags and how easy it is to ignore them. This has been our POV, our point of view. We want to hear yours. Write to us, call us. We're here to listen. We're here to talk. And we want to hear from you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our POV.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Night.